The last thing my grandmother said to me changed how I measure success forever. The hospital monitor was still beeping when my grandmother grabbed my hand. She looked at me and smiled. Then she asked a question I wasn't ready for. When people remember you, what do you hope they remember? I laughed nervously. Grandma, don't talk like that. But she didn't smile back. She just waited. I started listing things. My business, the charity, the awards, the books I want to write. She squeezed my hand. Then she quietly asked, and when all of those are gone? I didn't know how to answer. My grandmother had spent 40 years as an elementary school teacher. She never became famous, never wrote a book, never built a company. By the world's standards, she lived an ordinary life. Yet the day of her funeral, the church was overflowing. Former students flew in from different countries. Parents she had once encouraged came carrying flowers. A doctor stood up and said, I only became a doctor because your grandmother believed in me when nobody else did. A woman in her 60s walked to the front with tears in her eyes. I was the little girl who never had lunch. Every Friday she packed an extra meal and pretended she had brought too much food. I didn't find out until years later that she had been skipping her own lunch to feed me. Story after story filled the room. Not one person talked about her achievements. No one mentioned her salary. Nobody cared how many awards she had won. They talked about how she loved. On the drive home, I couldn't stop crying. I had spent years chasing things that looked impressive. Promotions, recognition, followers, credentials. None of those things were wrong, but suddenly I realized something. One day, every title I earn will belong to someone else. Every achievement will be forgotten. Every trend will be replaced. Everything I thought would make me unforgettable will eventually fade, except one thing. The love I gave, the people I forgave, the kindness I showed when no one was watching. Those were the only things still being talked about at my grandmother's funeral. That's when I finally understood what she meant in that hospital room. Success has an expiration date. Knowledge grows old. Accomplishments become history. But genuine love leaves fingerprints on people's lives long after we're gone. And those fingerprints never disappear. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. 1 Corinthians 13 verse 8. When everything else fades, love is what people remember. Subscribe for more true-to-life stories inspired by God's Word.